r/ask Reddit. Which celebrity got cancelled and you genuinely felt bad for them? Brendan Fraser. He spoke the truth. He admitted media moguls molested him. He was blackballed for more than a decade. He's still a god in my books. She isn't full on cancelled, but what Kesha went through was so messed up. Not only was she abused, but her abuser was part of the record label and she wasn't able to leave her contract. Came here to say exactly this. I didn't particularly care for her material, but the minute she steps up to get away from abusers, the whole world just wrote her off. I didn't care for Kesha's old material much, if at all, but the album she made right after she was able to record again is fantastic. Emo. I'm not sure, but someone who should be cancelled is Chris Brown. He literally beat the shit out of Rihanna and radio stations cancelled him for like a day. Dude is a total scumbag. SND is still able to put out hits and make millions. Not completely gone, but Terry Crews has issues getting work because he spoke out about being sexually assaulted during the Me Too movement. People assumed a man his stature couldn't be assaulted and he gave names and people weren't very happy. Wendy Williams mocked him on her show when he spoke up about it. She is a vile human. Megan Fox for calling out Michael Bay's sexist behavior a couple of years before Me Too. I'm sure this sort of thing still goes on behind closed doors. Sometimes an actor/actress stops getting hired and they never know why, but it can be as simple as pissing off the wrong person and they warn everyone else not to hire you. Paul Rubens aka Pee Wee Herman. He had a reputation of being kind of a stuck-up a-hole when the Pee Wee character shot to fame, but not really any better or worse than other famous folks. He got cancelled because he was arrested for public indecency. He was caught masturbating in an adult theater. Aside from the undercover cop who caught him, he was alone, and it was a normal adult pornography film. But the industry and media acted like he'd been caught with child porn or had raped someone. He's made a bit of a comeback recently though. I think people finally realize that in the grand scheme of sex crimes, jerking it by yourself in a porn theater is nothing at all. I saw his Pee Wee revival on Broadway several years ago and enjoyed it, and I've seen him on a lot of the celebrity game shows on TV recently. That one was always weird as shit, too, because Pee Wee Herman was originally intended to be a perverted parody of a kids show. Like if you look up the original HBO special from the stage show, it's full of adult humor. If they'd kept it like that, no one would have given a shit. But because they took it out of satire and made it an actual kids show, it was a scandal. Chris Brown. Just kidding, he wasn't cancelled, but I wish he was. Winona Ryder. That feels like one of the first big cancels of the internet age. Glad she was able to rebound with Stranger Things. I love how tame stealing sounds when people are getting accused of rape left and right. This is a good one. Glad she's uncancelled. Ashley Judd. Harvey Weinstein blacklisted her for years. She's an incredible actress. Emo. Mira Sorvino. 2. She went from one of the most in-demand actresses after winning her Oscar to being completely blacklisted because Weinstein was telling anyone who'd listen that she was a diva and impossible to work with. When Peter Jackson was still making Lotta through Miramax, Weinstein told him not to hire Judd or Sorvino, and Jackson believed him. Even when the movies eventually moved to New Line Cinema, he still believed what Weinstein had told him and wouldn't work with them. When Me Too started snowballing, Jackson remembered what Weinstein had told him about the two and apologized to them for it. Britney Spears. She didn't even get cancelled. She just had her reputation smeared all over primetime TV, and then the courts decide that her reaction to being systematically erased from relevance was crazy. I was around middle school age when she had her breakdown, and I have clear memories of teachers I really respected and looked up to making fun of her shaving her head and stuff. It's amazing how little sympathy we as a whole has for victims and the mentally ill. Sinead O'Connor, the Dixie Chicks, and Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman is a sad case, but damn is he a piece of shit these days. Megan Fox deserved better than the way media constantly sexualized her and ignored anything she had to say. She has numerous interviews trying to talk about being uncomfortably sexualized by Michael Bay when she was a teenager, but the audience and interviewer would just cheer as if she wasn't talking about predatory behavior. Megan Fox is so smart and eloquent, not the bimbo Hollywood would have you believe. So many of the replies you're receiving to this are just perpetuating exactly the issue you're talking about. Well, if she's so smart, she should have known not to go into Hollywood with how attractive she is. Jesus ducking Christ. This probably won't get seen, but the guy from The Dude You're Getting Adele commercials got fired and blacklisted over weed. Not a celebrity really, but still bogus. Yes, thank you. Upvoted. I don't know how many people realize this, but that ad campaign was one of the most effective in US history. He was really popular and recognizable, and then he smoked weed or something and got arrested and vanished. I remember thinking, don't 99% of celebrities smoke weed? Corey Feldman. He was the first who told everyone what was really going on with child actors in Hollywood and no one listened. Barbara Walters accused him of lying. Barbara Walters should have been cancelled for that shit. What a garbage human. Blaming the victim of child sexual abuse. She didn't even just accuse him of lying. She framed it as he should cover it up to protect the perpetrators so their careers don't take a hit. Janet Jackson. Justin Timberlake just issued an apology to her, like, yesterday. Good on him, and all. But we banished this genuinely talented woman for what was almost assuredly a PG-13 rated mistake. Honestly, most of the celebrities mentioned so far haven't really been cancelled. They're still doing good and have fan bases. I will say the Dixie Chicks was probably one where I was like, all they did was say they didn't support the war and are getting death threats, and when you consider how poorly the war went, they kinda had a point. That's because most of the celebrities mentioned were controversial 20 plus years ago and face almost no actual backlash in 2021. Jenna Marbles. She was just gone one day. I wonder what happened. Julius Caesar. Rome did him dirty. Nah, he didn't get cancelled. The people still loved him. Dixie Chicks. This one still infuriates me. How come they got banned from country music stations but Hank Williams Jr. didn't after all that racist garbage he spewed about President Obama? I still listen to classic country, but people in the stations are hypocrites. Paul Rubens. As an 80s kid who loved Pee-wee's Playhouse, remembering how my parents tried to explain Paul Rubens getting cancelled is hilarious. My dad told me he took off his clothes in a movie theater and kid me was like, wow, that's really weird, but I guess he is kind of crazy. Jenna Marbles. I understand why she took her break, but she was one of the only YouTubers who genuinely felt guilty and remorseful for the things she did in the past. Al Franken. Brendan Fraser was brutal, but my first thought was Aziz Ansari, thrown in a basket with sexual predators, for being too eager to have a one-night stand with a girl that was planning on having a one-night stand with him. Yep, at the time that girl's essay came out, I read it, as a staunch feminist, and sort of thought to myself, okay, Aziz wouldn't be a great date, duly noted, but there was nothing at all that was abusive. It was just two people who were looking for different things and being total garbage at communicating with each other. I hope he makes a comeback. He is a brilliant writer and it would be such a loss over something so stupid. Rebecca Black. Everyone was so mean over Friday. She was 13 and deserved better. Can I add Shelley Duvall to the list? Was in a string of great Robert Altman films in the 1970s and did her own string of cable shows in the 1980s. Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater, Tall Tales and Legends, and Bedtime Stories. Also, she did a few musical albums and even created some computer games in the 1990s, like A Bird's Life and A Dog's Life. There is way more to her than Wendy Torrain and The Shining. Now, she is completely forgotten, except when people call her crazy or something. She deserves way better in my opinion. Corey Feldman. Ugh, Barbara Walters pissed me off so much during that segment. He was right the whole time and everyone knew it. I feel bad for both Coreys. Michael Richards. I don't feel bad he got cancelled. I just felt bad when he tried to apologize on Letterman and the audience was laughing and thinking it was a joke just because it's Kramer. Jerry was a good friend. He told the audience this isn't a laughing matter. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.